steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to me.
There's something loose between my legs.
I don't know. Let go!
I'm heavier than a freaking boat.
Nothing you could say could make that any better.
No more radio for the rest of the race.
I'm going home.
Hello, we're back, and welcome to 2026, and also welcome to DRSFC. This is still, I don't know why it would have changed over the holiday, F1 podcast by soccer nerds. I'm a soccer nerd. I'm André Carlisle, and I have three soccer nerds with me for this episode. Deepti, how are you?
I'm good, André. This is my last week in London as a resident of London, and I'm a bit sad about it, but I'm excited for 2026. And one of my goals for this year is to actually go to a race in person. So we're going to see if that happens.
Hell yeah, love that. And yeah, I am sad that you are leaving London. That is a sad time. I won't dwell on it, but it is a sad situation. Also here with Megan. Megan, how are you?
I regret to inform you, André, we're now on a gay hockey book podcast. I got addicted over winter break, so now we're pivoting, actually. No, I'm good. It's good to be back with our friends. I'm excited to talk about the F1 season that was before talking about next season.
Indeed. And Donald, how are you?
I'm doing good. Miami's still playing football, which is wild to think about.
Shocker. Shocking.
You know what? Listen, y'all know I'm not a big American football fan. I kind of gave up that narcotic a little while ago, but I still pay attention when the games get kind of big or whatever. The Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah.
What the hell? I've lived my entire life, and they ain't never been good at anything American football, and suddenly they're beating the shit out of Alabama, and I don't know what happened.
Y'all, for those of you who are smart enough not to follow me on social media, you missed a generational day of me hating. I am a Auburn University alumni who was raised to hate the University of Alabama and the University of Georgia. And let me tell you, folks, they both lost, and my shitty ex-boyfriend's Texas Tech. So really... it's everything's coming up, Megs, in 2026 is all I gotta say. Generational.
New Year's Eve was great for me. New Year's Eve was great for me. I had a lot of football wins. I had basketball wins. We took out Ohio State because we hate Ohio State. The 2025 sucked in a lot of ways, but it ended on a very positive note for me. So now I'm ready for 2026. I want more.
And the reason why I decided we were going to talk American football is because my soccer team decided to just yeet its coach for no good reason. So I'm struggling over here when it comes to soccer in 2026 already.
Did he get fired on his day off like Craig?
Cole Palmer can't coach the team and save the team and not be injured? What?
We can't get into any of it right now because this will be the entire podcast, but I hate that team. I love that team and I hate that team. That's really all I got because I don't
André
understand.
needs to disassociate with some vrooms.
I really do.
Exactly.
Give up.
Imagine we spend our entire vroom pod talking about the other sports.
That would be funny.
It would be
That'll
hilarious.
be our April Fools.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I was like, April Fools.
Yeah, it's surprise. It's a long build up for the joke. You thought this was an F1 pod. All right, let's get into actual F1 because we are going to do, listen, a lot of places have done their season reviews and all of that, looked back and done all that stuff, but nobody's actually done a vibe check. And I feel like the vibes are the most important thing, especially when it comes to a sport like F1. We saw several vibe shifts. And if you were reading the vibe shifts, you got ahead of how things were going to play out because this is a very interesting sport in which I feel like the vibes really, really matter. So we're going to do a vibe check. We're going to go team by team in the first part of this and do a full team vibe check about what was their 2025 like and did they do anything to impact positively or negatively their vibes heading into 2026 or the 2026 season. And then we're going to take a break and then we're going to do an overall season vibe check. We're going to look at what gave us good vibes, what gave us bad vibes. And honestly, being able to laugh your ass off is also a vibe. So we're going to look at funniest moments too. So that's how we're going to do this. So we're going to be right back with all that. And I promise you, kind of, maybe with an asterisk, terms and conditions apply, we're only going to talk about F1.
Jinxed us. For sure, jinxed us.
All right, here we go. And we're gonna start at the bottom of the table. Oh man, I wish Ebony was here because this would just be a tremendous way to kick this off. Alpine.
Woof. How do you say woof in French?
Good question.
Le Wouef.
Le woof.
They finished with 22 points, which is not a lot. And beyond that, they had, remember Jack Doohan, y'all? You remember him?
Oh gosh.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
Yep.
That was
Poor
this
Jack
season?
Doohan. Didn't last all that well. Had one of the most dangerous crashes I think that we've seen in a while. That crash at Suzuka was very, very scary. But yeah, Alpine had you know what? Even mentioning Jack Doohan, I got another one for y'all. Y'all remember Ollie Oakes?
No, barely.
I don't
2 seconds.
He was their team principal. Remember the dude ran away to
Oh my
Dubai
God,
or
you're
something?
right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
here
Like a
today, gone
fugitive.
today.
Yeah, his brother was charged with like stealing money for the Russian government or some shit.
Right.
Was it the Russians? It was somebody bad.
Yep.
I just assume
yes.
Russians.
Yeah, so that happened this season that last season as well. So like Alpine's been through it. Obviously Flavio Briatore is there. They they booted out Jack Doohan, put in Franco Colapinto, who didn't really do much either in that car. Pierre Gasly had a decent year, but nothing really exciting. He was just kind of driving that thing around, trying to lug it around into Q3s on occasion whenever he could. And then he signed a contract extension out of nowhere for no good reason. What was it, 3 years? That was strange.
He's got to pay for that hair transplant somehow. You know what I mean? He looks
Apparently.
great, but it was good work, and he needs to pay for it.
Yeah, Flavio got him the hookup, so now he's indebted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Like Bruno Mars.
Donald, vibe check for Alpine. I mean, I think obviously their 2025 was trash, but like, did they do anything, do you think, to like severely impact maybe their 2026? Like, did their season go in a way where it like the bad vibes might carry over?
You know, when you look at the 2026, like take our regs episodes, for example, like it creates so many unknowns, right? In any team, we have to kind of see the first few weeks of the season for us to kind of start learning whether teams have learned from last year and applied the new regulations in a way that will allow them to succeed. But also what's hidden in Alpine is that they don't know what they're going to be called tomorrow, right? Like they might be sold at any point, and that would change a whole lot of things. There's a lot of uncertainty around that team, and 2025 didn't do anything to alleviate that. And unfortunately, for Ebony, they're very anti-tattoo apparently, because they decided to suck from the very beginning and did not let up the whole season. Like you mentioned, Pierre Gasly got 22 points, and the other seat got 0. And so I look at them and I think that they have a lot of issues. They haven't figured out what they need to do to solve them, and time is running out because they could be having a complete reset if they get new ownership, or again, somebody pulls the rug out from underneath them financially. That's going to be a big question that we won't have the answers to. And I'm sure it affects all the testing and all the things that they're trying to do to improve their car for 2026. And even with a good car, like these drivers didn't show enough in 2025 to make you think that they're going to leap back up the table from where they were in 2024.
Yeah. Deepti, how do you feel? What are your vibes about Alpine? Because I think Donald's right. Like we even tried to get Ebony to switch to like Williams or something, because it was like I don't think like Alpine right off the bat, this is not going to become a season long thing like we hoped. They were just like, nope, we're not going to be competitive at all. So Deepti, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with Donald. Vibes are low, and vibes are going to remain low. And I'm waiting for some of that like French flair to come out, but it's not going to. Even with Pierre still there and like extending, like Megan said, he just he needs the money for something, and he's guaranteeing a seat for himself, and like good for him, because like we do know how hard it is to get a seat. But there's nothing, absolutely nothing, that has convinced me that they're going to turn anything around. And yeah, I mean, hope maybe Ebony's going to stay on the Alpine train and we'll see, but I think she should hop off that, try to get a different tattoo, or maybe she should just swap her like deal and be like, if they finish bottom of the table, that's when she gets a tattoo, and see if
Look,
it's like a reverse
Cadillac's
jinx
whole thing. Cadillac's whole operations are located in North Carolina. Like, she's got to switch. That's the home team now.
Fair. Yeah. There you go.
You trying to get Ebony with the big Cadillac logo on her back. That's what I'm here for.
Hell yeah. She's going to look straight out of a mid 2000s music video, and I'm going to love it.
I was going to say,
oh my gosh.
It'll be amazing. Megan, so I think the one thing to note about Alpine is that like they were at an engine deficit because they went with Renault, and that's been a bad engine ever since for like these regulations. They're getting away from.
Do you want me to sunshine it
and going to Mercedes? Yes, please.
Here's what I'll do. We love a reset. What do we love more than in 2026 saying, I'm going to be a whole new person. I'm out with the old, out with the bad, in with the new. Was it sad to see all these posts of the drivers being like, goodbye, Renault friends, we shall never see you again? Yes, that was sad. It was overly dramatic in some ways. Is it much better that they're going to have a Mercedes engine? Hell yeah. I mean, I can't imagine the Mercedes is going to like totally screw it up in any way, but maybe I've just jinxed it. Who knows? And so I think it is kind of nice for them. I'm hoping they don't get sold because I think it is cool that they are affiliated with the country of France. But if they are sold, that's a clean slate too. So we're going to out with the old, in with the new for Alpine.
Okay. Look at that. We found a way to be somewhat positive about Alpine. Aren't we trying?
Optimistic.
Trying our best.
You were struggling to try and put a nice red bow on that thing and call it a painting.
We're trying. All right, let's move on to Sauber because there are a little bit better things to talk about with Sauber. Obviously, this is kind of a sad and an exciting thing. This is their last season competing as Sauber that's going out. They're Audi right now, so they are coming in next season. You'll see Audi on the grid. That's going to be kind of cool. And they also got a podium. Not only did they get a podium, Nico Hülkenberg got a podium, and he hasn't had a podium ever in his F1 career, which I think spans about 9,000 races. The real number is like 248 or whatever. But like he's had a long career. He's been a good driver. He's proven himself to be a good driver, just never got in that car that he could really get on a podium with, but he finally did it in wild circumstances at Silverstone, of all places. Holding off Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone. Still sure. But that did happen. Shout out to Ferrari. We'll get there. So, Deepti, thoughts on Sauber / Audi?
Honestly, Sauber only ways up, and like I am so excited. If you're talking about out with the old, in with the new, it's Sauber, and they, like you said, I think they did a lot better than at least what I expected them to do this season. It's funny, I was looking back at like when we reviewed F1 75, and I'm like, it all started, the vibes started from there when they like announced their livery and everything, and they were one of like my least liked liveries. I loved their reveal with the whole drum line. I thought that was cool. They also were the first to like do it, so it set the tone. Livery I hated, but everything like actually turned out to be pretty decent for them this year. First bit we were like, we don't know how it's going to go, but I think obviously the Hulk podium is like the best bit of their season, but Gabby Bortoleto has done really well, and he's shown that like, yeah, if he was in a better car, he really has like the opportunity to be one of the better rookies or better drivers moving forward. And like, I would really be curious to see how he does in like a better car. But with Audi coming in and with them kind of taking over like and doing everything themselves from the get-go, that'd be really exciting because they've had all this time now to like work on the new regs and figure out what they want to do. And it's just, you know how in football people get the teams get new manager boost, they're getting a new everything boost, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. I also just like really like Audi as a brand, so I think I'm extra like even more excited for this one, and so I really hope that it does go well.
Yeah, I've heard that on the like on the the back end like the really fun stuff in F1, like who's taking who's engineers, kind of thing. Like Audi's been snapping up a lot of really good engineers from other teams, so that is going to be very interesting. Megan, your thoughts on Sauber, their season, and turn them becoming Audi?
I just want to point out, I thought it was really funny that Deepti was like, you asked if she had thoughts, and she said yes, and a long pause, because that's kind of how I feel about Audi. Like, I'm excited. I just, there's some hesitation. I need to see you guys do it. It was very cool to see the Hulk moment. We're ignoring what that cost us, because it is very cool to see a man succeed. I don't genuinely want men to succeed, but in that specific situation, seeing a man who has long not been able to do a thing is pretty cool. And so I think branding wise, they seem to have it together, and I'm excited to see, something spice up the grill. I think them plus Cadillac coming in at the same time and kind of having two brand new teams. I know Audi obviously isn't a completely new team, but it is sort of a firm reset in that they've cleaned house, it looks like, and they are gobbling up people from across the grid. I think brings some excitement in addition to the new technical regulations.
Yeah. I actually thought it was really cool. Like for them, this was a year where a lot of teams were scared to do a lot with their cars in terms of like current season development. But they were a team that actually did, and they were able to fix a big problem that their cars were having early in the season, and it really paid off throughout the season. So the fact that they like identified a problem correctly, found a correct solution to the problem, and implemented that, I feel like a lot of teams struggle to do that. Ferrari, we'll get there. But I think that's a positive for how they operate in the future. So a lot's changing, but hopefully they keep that lesson and those learnings. So Donald, where are you at with this whole Sauber look back and Audi look ahead?
Well, I want to go back to 2024. Do you guys remember how many points Sauber got in 2024?
Oof.
I'll tell you, it's a very simple number. 4. They got 4 points in 2024. And despite the fact that they were second to last in this grid, they had 70 points this year. And so I look at that as a complete win. Gabby Bortoleto, coming in as a rookie, he was, some viewed him as like the most talented of the rookies, but in the weakest car. And, we saw some great performances from him. You mentioned Hulk getting the podium. I promise you, Audi will always stay ready, so they ain't got to get ready. They will always have champagne on deck for next year and beyond. I promise you that. Sauber, the Sauber, like having to borrow champagne from people was a funny moment, but like that also showed that they weren't ready for that moment in a way because they had never seen it. And so I feel that their optimism is high. I've said on this show before, Audi and Cadillac coming in next year just absolutely excites me for both of those teams. They're two teams I'm probably going to follow the most. But because of the fact that you saw that big stride that they took, yeah, they weren't getting a lot of points, but they were leaps and bounds better than the year before. You're able to take those lumps, learn those lessons, and apply them, and also to be able to tough it out with a rookie. We look at some of the other teams where they just kind of were playing musical chairs with their rookies and maybe destroying their confidence. Gabby had it from kick Sauber the entire season. So I liked what I saw from them. I liked the fire that they put. They were getting into Q3s. They were getting into the top 10 and podiums. They were fighting for points most weeks, at least one of the drivers. So, and it wasn't just like one driver doing everything and the other driver falling back. Hulk and Gabby both showed something. So yeah, I think they should be pretty pleased with where they are. I know they want to be further up the grid, but there's a lot of optimism now that Audi is in the picture with those two still driving.
Yeah, I'm there with it. I'm there for the optimism around Sauber and Audi. I'm excited for what the future looks like for this team because, like y'all said, like this was a pretty good year. Like, yeah, second to last sounds bad, but when you look at 70 points and that's ahead of the last place team who had 22, and yeah, Alpine had a terrible year. But Sauber, like Donald mentioned, I think looking back at their 2024, 4 points to 70, that's incredible. And it ain't like they had terrible drivers. They had Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hulkenberg. Those are two very like veteran drivers who are good. So that was really on the car for the most part. And also Magnussen, picking up penalty points all the time, but still, like they were good. And so this is a good improvement and probably sets them up well for Audi to take over and see how far they can go next season. Haas, the people's American team, apparently they want to be. I don't think it's going to last too long with Cadillac coming in. But Haas had a pretty interesting year, 79 points. Ollie Behrman was a rookie they paired with Esteban Ocon. They got close. Ollie Behrman got fourth, which was Haas's best finish in a long time. Didn't get on a podium. They were one of these little mid-table teams that didn't actually end up getting a podium, but still had a pretty good season. 79 points is not bad. Megan, thoughts on Haas's season and look ahead?
USA. No, I think they did a pretty good job, all things considered. I think they really maximized the opportunities they had when they could. I also appreciate that this doesn't matter in the scheme of things at all, but I do think that it seems like they have a really good pairing, just personality wise. Like it seems like Esteban and Ollie do really get along. And after Esteban having to be with like his mortal enemy on his previous team, I'm just sort of happy for them to have like no drama. None of their employees like quit or were fired this year. Like it just seemed like they had a good time, Things went well. They just kind of were in the background. Occasionally they did some good stuff. They made some good social media content. I think that is a fine thing for Haas to aspire to the year before the regulations change.
Yeah, I feel that. The vibes do feel pretty good at Haas. Donald, do you agree?
Yes and no. The reason why I do think that, yeah, they showed some improvement. I thought Ollie, was terrific on the season. What's funny? I think I always remembered as we were recapping a lot of these races, and I always was like, oh, right, Esteban Ocon exists. And I feel like he disappeared in a lot of races this year, more than than I thought he would. And that might be the one area for improvement, is that Esteban has to be the leader of this team to get them back up in the points. But I think it's great that I agree that the dynamic between Ocon and Behrman were great. They were two fun guys. It seems like everybody on the grid really likes them. And again, they had some moments where they both got into the points, but it felt like at times that Haas would disappear in races, whether it was one or both drivers. And that can't happen if you want to move up the grid, especially with how close, it was between 6th and 9th place. Like, those points here and there mattered at the end. That's why they were a little bit further down, is because they disappeared one too many times. And that's probably something they want to work on.
Fair enough. A little bit of split vibes there from Donald. Megan's feeling positive vibes from Haas. Deepti, where are you at?
I'm feeling positive, and I've got two words to say. Toyota Gazoo. They've got their new kind of rebranding. It's just a new title sponsor, which means more money, and Toyota's also on like the Haas hype train. And I think more money is more development, and they've just again, are just showing me that they will continue to improve. I do kind of agree with Donald that Ocon disappeared over the season, and all eyes were on Ollie Behrman, and he ended up getting more points than Ocon and was above him in the driver's standing by the end of the season. And so I'm curious if we're going to have like a McLaren 2.0 situation where they maybe will have to decide early on who they actually want to be number one driver, and if they're going to be more competitive and get even more mid-table, will they have to drop Ocon to the number 2 spot, and will Ollie be getting those preferences as driver number 1? So that'll be interesting. I don't know if Esteban Ocon, if that happens, if he would take it very well. Just guessing based on his personality, but I think Ollie would deserve it. And yeah, I'm curious to see how much more they can do, because I think they do have a lot of potential to continue growing.
Yeah, I think Haas has been unquestionably the smallest team on the grid for a while now, and the fact that they've learned how to compete at those with a fraction of the resources that some other teams have access to. And now they're going to have Toyota on board, which, of course, when Toyota was in like F1 on their own, they were trash. But they're learning a lot right now, and they're investing a lot and giving Haas a lot more tools. That should be interesting. So I'm kind of interested to see what they look like. But I'm kind of with Donald in terms of positive and negative vibes. I think there's a lot of positive vibes looking forward, but I do have a negative note that I need Haas to understand. Y'all remember when Ollie Behrman was on the radio saying ciao to everybody he was passing? That happened once. They called him out in post game in a Sky interview, and then he never did it again. Whoever at Haas told him to stop doing that needs to be fired. Okay. I don't want to call for people's jobs, but listen, that was fun, and I want that kid.
Let's have a
saying ciao to
sassy
everybody.
bear. We want a sassy
We need
Ollie.
We need it. It's so fun. And he's one of the drivers that could pull it off. If another driver was saying ciao, I'd be like, all right, take it easy. But like Ollie's cool. Ollie can pull it off. So I'm here for it. All right, let's go to Aston Martin. Aston Martin's just a weird case. We always, Lance just wants to dance. We always have that. We've been talking about that all season. But also, I feel like I don't really understand what they're doing. Adrian Newey came in and it was like, oh, they're very serious about building, like going for these 2026 regs. And they told us like Adrian Newey's going to be locked in his little room with his charts and his drawing board. He's bringing us to 2026. That's our big 2026 signing. It is Adrian Newey. And then he ends the season as team principal. I don't really understand how that works, but that's what they did. So, Deepti, your thoughts on Aston Martin and kind of what their season was, which is kind of uninspiring, but also projecting for 2026, because I'm just kind of a big question mark on them right now.
Uninspiring is the right word, and I think they were just weird. They were the ones who you never know what version of Aston Martin you're going to get, and like especially you never know which version of Lance Stroll you were going to get. Sometimes Lance Strulovich popped out. Most of the time it was still Lance Stroll. But yeah, it's like I love Adrian Newey. He is the best of the best, and I am really excited that he is like the primary one like designing this car. But when they announced him as team principal, that like made me hesitate a little bit, because obviously that's like a bigger role and more pressure and like just more things that he would have to take care of. And so with all that on his plate, like how much does he really have to like say in designing the car? Maybe he's doing this because maybe like the car's almost complete. Probably like the season starting soon, actually, let's be real. But like he probably spent all this time when he was not principal designing it. Maybe it's like so close to being done that he's like, okay, I won't actually have to do much with the car during the season, so I'll take over principal and see how it goes. So they are a wild card for me. I guess we'll see after preseason testing. Like they could even be so far as like a dark horse, just because it is newy and like it will be a total new car with new regulations. So vibes are like mixed for me for this one. I'm just so unsure.
Fair enough. Donald, you Donald, are you in the middle with your vibes when it comes to Aston Martin?
Yes. Who would have thought that Aston Martin's highlight of 2025 was bringing out Tim's at the F175 event? Like Aston Martin.
That was hard to beat, though. To be fair,
it was. Do you know the vibes were immaculate with that, and they went and just threw all of that away by putting Lance Stroll in the vehicle. But honestly, like Aston Martin is one of the top brands on earth. When you think of race cars, when you think of luxury, Aston Martin is at or near the top. They should not be in 8th place or 7th place. They should not be fighting for 7th place. They should be fighting for 3rd, for 2nd. And by that stretch alone, 2025 is a disappointment. Now, you would think 2026 would be, vibes are great because you got Newey in the chair and you got him designing the car. But we were talking earlier about the fact that he has taken on this principal position and we're not quite sure what to make of it, because he is not a front-facing guy. He's the guy in the back, like, I'm back here, doing the stuff. And y'all go ahead and party out here. I'm the guy in the back doing all the things that make this party go. And now he has to be the front-facing man at the party. And he doesn't have as much time to be in the back doing what he does best. So I'm not sure what his motivation was for taking the principal role, whether it's a new challenge, whether it's to maybe stave off somebody else from taking it that he doesn't like, Christian Horner. I don't know what that is. And that brings up, it's funny, it brings up more questions. And it's not about doubting Adrian Newey's resolve or his ability to do the job. It's about why he thought this was the job to take in the first place.
Yeah, I have the same question because it's almost like we know he's a like Hall of Fame car designer, right? And he was head of everything Aero, like he's in charge of that department, brand new facilities, newly built, top line, but the most expensive, yada yada. Like he's got all the tools, and he's got the job title, and he's Adrian fucking Newey. What else did he need? Like, what does the team principal give him that he didn't have the influence to change? That's where I'm at. I'm just like, why did he need that role to have the influence he needed or he felt like he needed to have? That's what I don't understand quite yet, and nobody's really been able to explain. Meg, where are you at with Aston Martin?
Well, the one thing we haven't talked about, and not to copy Donald, but where's Fernando Alonso? My guy. I understand that you're getting up there, but you were completely anonymous this year. You didn't even give us any like fun, sassy moments of overtaking. You just were there. And I think it's very impressive that he is still racing, and maybe with a better car next year, it gets better. But buddy, if it's not better in 2026, I think it's time for you to find another thing to do.
Yeah, if the car is a championship, a race winning championship level car, which it very well could be with Honda making the engine and Aston Martin or an Adrian Newey designing the aero and the chassis and everything around that. I mean, that was a winning combination for Red Bull for a while. And if they can't figure that out, or if they do figure that out and get that kind of car and performance from it, it's going to become quite interesting to see what those drivers do in that scenario. Okay, let's go to Racing Bulls, Baby Bulls, as we came to call them. They finished with 92 points. They did get a podium thanks to Isaac Hadjar, which was great to see his turnaround from crashing on the formation lap of the very first race, him bawling his eyes out, and Helmut Marko's dumbass, trying to talk about him crying. But then he responds, looks extremely good throughout the season. He has his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, and then all of a sudden, Liam Lawson gets yeeted from the main Red Bull team, which we will talk about. But just noting this because Hadjar's then teammate became Liam Lawson instead of Yuki Tsunoda, and he was handily beat him as a teammate. Liam got better, but Hadjar was far and away the best driver there. So Racing Bulls also, by the way, their team principal, their head, went to the main Red Bull team too. So not only did they lose a driver, they lost Laurent Mekies, who was running that team. And then he went to Red Bull and Christian Horner got the boot. So, Donald, thoughts on Racing Bulls?
They actually had a pretty decent season with all the changes and all the, just the volatility that was swirling around Red Bull this year, both teams, because when the parent team does something, it affects Baby Bulls as well. And I thought the drivers stuck through. You mentioned Liam Lawson getting better. We like to clown him on this show, but he did get better as the season went along. And Isaac Hadjar was great at times. He was a guy that was like consistently in the top 5 of qualifying and competing for top 5 in races. And as you mentioned, he did get the podium. So I liked, and he earned the promotion up to Red Bull. We joke in the show that he shouldn't have taken it because we know what seat number 2 at Red Bull means. It's just a death sentence. But I think the vibes got to be good for Baby Bulls because they keep Liam Lawson, they get Arvin Lindblad coming in next year, and it just feels like they always have somebody at the ready in case something happens. So I'm if I'm a Red Bull fan, I'm excited about what the Baby Bulls are doing. I'm not a Red Bull fan, so I don't necessarily care. But again, it game recognized game, and they did well this year for considering all the circumstances.
Yeah, fair enough. Megan, your thoughts on the Baby Bulls?
It's wild when I have any sort of positive feelings towards a Red Bull organization. And Isaac Hadjar, my sweet baby boy, gosh, you have brought so much joy into our life. You seem like a genuinely nice human. You don't seem to have the toxic masculinity stench that normally is on F1 drivers coming up in the red. Like, they didn't corrupt you, and I don't understand how that happened. And I'm scared, but it was delightful to watch you do well. It was delightful to watch Lewis's dad comfort you, and I think really healing to see somebody show emotion in what was clearly a really hard moment, and then to come back and do so well the rest of the season and earn a spot. I will say Red Bull, Baby Bulls, continue to be deeply chaotic on social media, and for that I salute you, social media manager. You made those boys say so many Love Island quotes. Liam Lawson definitely hates it. I think that Isaac loves it secretly, but we appreciate your service.
Yeah, Isaac I think that's such a good point that like he was a very likable person, and normally like, and yes, there are a lot of ex Red Bull drivers that I like, but while they're Red Bull drivers, it's really difficult to like be so good and pure that you kind of outshine that. But that concerns me now that he might be entering his villain era, because now he's going to be a main team Red Bull driver, and we might not get sweet baby boy Isaac Hadjar that we had that we grow accustomed to this season. So Deepti, where are you at with the Baby Bulls and Hadjar as well?
It's a bit bittersweet for me because basically echoing what you guys said, Hadjar moving to Red Bull really takes, I think, a lot of their like aura and like fun personality out of Baby Bulls, and especially on social media, because yeah, they did so well, and like the lip syncs were great. Like basically everything on their social media was really fun and different. And it seemed like both boys will also like really enjoyed it. And so that going to like the main Red Bull, he's not going to have the same there. I want like Max is not going to partake in like such things. And so maybe Isaac will continue to do so with the social media person there. But if he just does it alone, it's not going to be the same. But for Baby Bulls themselves, like, yeah, if they can keep up those good vibes off the grid, I think that'll be really important for them. I am excited for Arvid Lindblad because he is of Indian heritage, and so having like a South Asian driver on the grid is really exciting. He's really young too. He's only 18, so he's like I think he's younger than Kimmy, right? And so it'll be 2 teen drivers on there, and hopefully just some like new blood, new life, and to keep it going. My only like concern was that towards the end of the season, the last few races, they didn't do as well as they had done like throughout the rest of the season. But considering, like we've said a million of times, new car, new regs, like hopefully that doesn't like stunt their development, and that it will just be as good, if not better.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I really liked their 2025. I thought even with Liam Lawson dropping down and them losing Yuki Tsunoda, I think that the Hadjar of it all was worth it. Getting on a podium, them having fun, kind of being a bit of an underdog team every time they're out there, because they are a junior team. Which again, how the fuck does that exist? Moving on, but like it makes me concerned for their 2026. I would love to see what their 2026 would look like with like Hadjar and Lindblad, but I just think that Liam Lawson isn't really a great measuring stick. He hasn't, like, he's settled down, he's been more consistent, but he hasn't really been like able to get close to Hadjar in most races. Like Hadjar still looked like the far and away better driver, and I'm concerned about them having Lawson and Lindblad, and Lawson like may not have the right feedback that he needs to help like them figure out how to get the best out of the car the way that they were able to with Hadjar there. And of course, when you have a teenager there alongside him, how does that work? So I am concerned for Baby Bulls in 2026.
I think the other thing is, in the case of Lindblad, like this year we had the biggest rookie class in a generation, right? Like 25 years. He will be the only rookie next year. While there's still going to be some younger guys, he's the only one that's going to have the rookie scrutiny. And him being on Red Bull, that concerns me in that regard, right? Because we know that they don't necessarily care, right? They want points, and if you're not getting them, they will quick yank you if they need to. So that puts a lot of pressure on him. And as a guy who there were rumors, he's so young that there were rumors that they were trying to get a waiver to allow him to race this past season at age 17. So they clearly believe in the kid, but that belief can always change because Red Bull always has these things that they want to do, and they need guys to score points to do them. That's going to be a big pressure for him, and hopefully the rookies from this year who will now be the seasoned, year 2 veterans, at least will be able to help them along in that regard.
Yeah, I was gonna say Red Bull believes in their drivers until they don't, and that until they don't doesn't take much. Like I said, Liam Lawson got yeeted from the main team down to Red Bull Junior Baby Bulls after 2 races. So good luck and Godspeed. All right, moving on to Williams, 137 points, comfortably 5th best on the table. Comfortably, Baby Bulls behind them had 92. The other team ahead of them had 398. I'm not going to mention that team yet because we're going to talk about them soon. But we are focusing on Williams, who James Vowles did his little magic, got Carlos Sainz there. Carlos Sainz needed to find a new team because Lewis Hamilton was going to Ferrari. He landed at Williams, looked quite good, got on the podium a couple times. Him and Albon kind of took turns throughout the season. Like early on, Albon was scoring points looking good. Later in the season, it was Sainz who was scoring points and looking good. They never really had both their drivers looking good for a run of races, but still enough to get 137 points and look quite good doing it, especially because they were one of the teams that was rumored early on to stop their development when it came to their 2025 car to focus on 2026. They apparently did it quite early. So, Megan, Williams, you know what? We always ask, like, is the U back? Are the Raiders for real? Right? Like, we always ask these silly sports questions. Is Williams back?
I think they're on the way to being back, if not fully back. James Vowles, the man you are, you came in and you said, I refuse to let this institution continue to fail. And you have put in the effort and you have picked drivers who can execute, and you have clearly figured something out. And so for that, we are thankful. Carlos has been great. I think Alex had a tougher season. He had a lot more races that looked like they were going well and then just fell off the map or screwed up a qualifying and then just could never really overcome it. But I think they're definitely on the pack, on the track, sorry, on track to be doing better. And what's interesting is before the season, I would have said Alex was driver number 1, but I think Carlos has pretty firmly taken that now and shown, why he's the better driver. And I think they are very smart about their marketing. So I'm excited to have Williams back. I'm excited to see them continue to push forward on the grid. And it is wild because 4 years ago, they were the Alpine. I mean, they were the guys who you could never see not being in the basement. And so it's exciting to see them doing so well.
Yeah, I do miss like early season sassy Alex Albon on the radio. Like he was doing so good that he just felt like talking shit to all his engineers. It was just like he was so sassy. That was a fun side to see. It was a little strange, but it was cool to hear. Deepti, your thoughts on Williams this year?
I'm so excited for Williams. Vibes are so high for me for Williams, and I've been on their train for the entire season. I want to reiterate that the 2 times that Carlos podiumed were the 2 times that we did not preview, so I think we were a jinx for him. But either way, I think they've done really well, and obviously it like started off a bit rocky, especially with Carlos, but they really grew into it, and we can see that he has liked to be there, and I think he made like a good decision that they are really all in on him, and James Vowles is obviously all in on Williams and building them back up to like the champions they used to be. And we can see that like this was their highest finish in like almost 10 years. I think 2017 they said since then. And so I'm second year, like first year with the new driver is always going to be rough. And so now, like having had this under their belt, like I am just really excited to see where they can go. And I think all around Williams is doing great. Like we talked about F1 Academy a little bit too. And so they had Leah Block the last season, have done really well with her. And so I think it's just all around, not just in F1, but F1 Academy too. Williams has been, we have good vibes at Williams.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think Williams has been great. And also like shout out to Carlos Sainz for making like the correct decision, because when he made that decision, we were all like, what? the team Logan Sargent just drove for, and like what are you talking about? You're gonna go to Williams of all your options. We were thinking maybe Red Bull puts him in that second seat or something like that's the caliber of driver he is. Put him in a car that can win races, and he can get on the podium, and he can also win races. So the fact that he gambled on Williams and got rewarded for it was awesome, because to see Williams on a podium twice this season was really cool, and him being the driver to do it in his first season was awesome. So Donald, where are you at?
In 2024, Williams had 17 points. In 2025, they had 137. That's where I'm at with Williams. They really improved to shoot up to fifth in the grid, and like you said, be comfortable doing it is amazing. And again, James Voles did a great job at taking some risks and guys rewarding those risks by being competitive on the grid. And it sets them up greatly for 2026, because I think they now have the confidence to know that they can battle. They have the drivers that can battle with the top four. And so what's a point here and there that could be the difference between fifth and fourth place? They can, they can now aim for that upper tier instead of thinking about sixth place or seventh place, something like that. They can now say they have the drivers to go after the top teams. And I think that's great for Williams to have that kind of rise so quickly. I'm sure deep down they didn't expect it. They may have wanted it and desired it, but they probably didn't expect it to be this big of a turnaround. This is, we were joking, this is like Indiana football, right? Like down the dumps, nobody's heard of them, nobody cares. Now they're the smooth operators of the grid, and they have the drivers to back it up. This is great.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Williams and all the learnings they did this season, because it does really feel like heading into 2026, like the big teams know if you slack, like they can take your spot. Like they will be, like they learned a lot this season. They put processes together. They were able to improve the car. Again, their biggest thing is getting both drivers succeeding at the same time. But still, you got on the podium twice in the Williams with Carlos Sainz. That's awesome. And that can always be a threat, especially with new regs coming. So
remember when they tried to cheat a little bit, though? We can't have that. That was their one
If
flaw.
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right? I was going to say, that's how it is. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So yeah, shout out to them trying to cheat. Sometimes you just got to cheat a little bit. There will be plenty of opportunities to cheat in 2026. I think we're already hearing some stuff. So look out for Williams. All right, let's this is still a soccer nerd podcast about F1. So we are going to take a break and then getting to the top four, because that's what we do in soccer. The top four is important. This is what happens. This is what happens. Anyway, we'll be right back. Okay, here we go. The top four. And you know what? Funny enough, starting at 4, it's fucking Ferrari. Sorry if I'm tainting the jury pool here in terms of what we think about Ferrari's season, but I think we're all on the same page. So I'm not even going to run it down. I mean, this was big Lewis Hamilton coming to the team. Yay. The
What's
social
Italian
was
for
popping.
fiasco?
Right.
Is it just
Everything's
fiasco?
looking great.
Probably fiasco.
Probably. Yeah. And then they have the season they have. Leclerc gets on the podium a few times. Hamilton never gets on the podium except for the China sprint, which he won. And then the main race, both cars got disqualified because Ferrari's Ferrari. So, Donald, Ferrari.
I need them to be better. I just need that because you're saying fourth, but they were so far away from the other three that fourth, it might as well be 10th. Like for Ferrari, right? Ferrari is not built to be, they were a half lap away from winning the constructors in 2024, and they drop in points and they drop in placing to fourth. And yeah, there was a comedy of errors for a lot of the races. There was just a long stretch where we were just like, we all had the 1,000-yard stare because we had, Ferrari had seen some shit and just couldn't get right. And the optimism is that maybe for 2026 they will have gotten the car together, but a lot of the errors that they had were unforced and self-inflicted. And I think that is where It cost them the constructors in 2024. It cost them podiums in 2025. And they can't let that impact their 2026. So vibes on Ferrari they may not be down in the dumps, but they are quite low considering Ferrari had such great expectations, and they always do with the Tifosi. And so they need to just simply do better at everything that they do because, sorry, that's what we demand of them when you have a Lewis Hamilton and you have a Charles Leclerc.
Yeah. Deepti, Ferrari, vibes this season and vibes going into next.
Delulu is not the Salulu, unfortunately, for Ferrari and for us.
Or do you double down on the Delulu? Double or nothing Delulu.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
The new things now turn Delulu into Trululu. So we're going to do that. But that, like Donald said, that's for another episode, talking about that later. But yeah, honestly, like when you said fourth, I was like, it doesn't feel like fourth. It feels like so far down. And like, honestly, I don't think it can get worse. And like their highlight of the season, similar to Aston Martin, was F175, like when they revealed their livery. And because that one was also a sick one with their like animations of like throughout history and all that. And then yeah, there was, I think, really like no point in the season where we felt like they were improving. Maybe like little bits here and there, but like every time they did like took one step forward, there were then like 3 steps back. And so yeah, I feel like the only way they can go is up. I don't feel like next year can really get any worse than what this season was like. So because of that, yeah, we're going to hop back on the Delulu train. Yeah, we're going to double down on that because really there's no way it can be worse. And that's what I'm going to tell myself.
I was going to say, do not give them a challenge they were super excited to accept. So
do you want to know how it's worse? Charles Leclerc was supposed to go to Antarctica this week, and his trip has been canceled because the boat has malfunctions. Oh, Sweet boy can't even go see penguins.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, I'm Delulu. I think they're going to nail the regs. I hope so. This is an unpopular thing. I have concerns about Lewis, even if they nail it. I'm a little I'm scared, but I'm going to remain positive. We're going to see what happens. Find out how delusional I go in a later podcast.
Yeah, the whole Lewis thing, I feel like he needs like things to be right for it to get the best out of him. And like a race engineer that doesn't really talk to him or give him information he wants is not helpful. So it just feels like getting the best out of this driver who's won 7 drivers' championships. It doesn't feel like they're interested in doing that. And that really concerns me for Lewis in the future. Because like Meg said, even if they come out and nail the regs, there's still that divide, that weirdness that we kept hearing on the radio every single week. It's like, okay, and then taking so long to make strategic decisions too. Like the drivers are behind one another, eating up their tires, and like, okay, now you pull over, now you go chase the car in front. It's like, my tires are dead. Y'all took too long to actually make a decision. So like everything about what they did was just awful. But I will say, all right, I will say this: out of the top 4 teams, because of their finish, they will get more wind tunnel and CFD time than any of the other top 4. And CFD is computational fluid dynamics. I had to look that up because I didn't know what the fuck it meant. I just been saying CFD like I knew. But yeah, that's basically simulation to be able to test everything that they got going on or what they're trying to do with their car in terms of airflow and all of that. So they will have more time during the season to utilize to figure out their problems with their car and fix them or enhance them. Maybe they were tanking. Or maybe they were just trash. We'll find out. All right, let's move on. Red Bull, the main Red Bull team. Deepti, your thoughts on if we're calling baby bulls, what do we call Red Bull? Because Adult Bull sounds like this should be a different podcast.
No fun. That's what we call them. No fun. No fun at all.
I was gonna say the big bulls. No, Big Brother bulls. Dear. I don't know.
Got worse.
Triple B, yeah.
Let's just call them Red Bull.
We'll call them Red Bull.
It's almost got weird.
I don't know how I feel about Red Bull because they made me feel weird this season in the sense that Max made me feel weird because I was starting to like him a little bit. And so now I'm like, maybe I'm just going to be completely indifferent towards them. And then, and plus with like Hajar joining the team, they like jump up in my standings a bit too because I love him. And so I think I don't know if the vibes will really change much, to be honest. I think it's always like we always know that it's going to be max, 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 and they're probably going to have a good car because they always have a competitive car. And yeah, the only real difference is going to like we're going to see how Isaac will do in the second car, and hopefully it won't break him. And that's all I can hope for. I think the rest of it will pretty much be the same that it's been like the last few seasons.
Yeah, fair enough. Meg, your thoughts on Red Bull?
Where the theory of the show or the theme of the show is a vibe check, it is incredible how removing two toxic influences just completely changes my vibes. Girl dad Max seems to have mellowed out a little bit, and like, is he still kind of a shithead on the track? Yes, absolutely. But is he seem to be like a lot chiller now that he doesn't have three, I'm including his father in this, toxic humans like breathing down his neck? Yeah, he seems like a way better vibe. I don't know if y'all saw, but Checo posted like an end of the year thing, and there's a picture of him and Max trading helmets, and Max writing like, "You're a great driver. I'm glad you'll be back." And I'm like, wow, things I never would have expected this guy to do. So like Deepti said, I have complicated feelings about liking Red Bull. I still think as an institution, their model is bad for drivers, and it creates competition in a way that is like unhelpful to producing a good driver, and makes it so that the only good drivers that come out of your system are like traumatized humans that are shells of people. But maybe that's less true now. Maybe in the long term, things are going to be better. I'm scared for Isaac. I want him to do well. I hope he's given runway to do so.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, there was an interesting, toward the end of the season, in a few of our race reviews and previews, we were like, what are these positive feelings about Max and Red Bull? This is interesting. So Donald, where are you at with Red Bull season?
It's weird. The defending champions somehow overachieved, which is weird to say. And I think the fact that Max was able to make that run to make it like a race, literally down to the very last one of the season, was incredible. I think that's partly why we have such conflicted feelings. I mean, look, if you're a Red Bull fan, you have to be vibes high. Like, you just have to be. All the toxicity, or most of the toxicity, is gone, and in its place is Laurent Menkes, who ain't nobody said a bad word about him yet. And he hasn't proven to be a shithead like his predecessor. So like, vibes are high there. You have Hajar, and maybe he's the guy that can break the curse of the second seat. And you have to like your chances with that too, because he showed a lot of promise during the season. And Max being a guy who can still be in not the best car and come this close to winning the drivers' championship, like that. If you're a Red Bull fan, you have to be vibes high about all of that. And that scares me because I'm not a Red Bull guy. I want other teams to succeed. And to do that, they still got to go past, in a way, they got to get past Max and McLaren. And Red Bull is in a great position now with 2026. I don't know how they will deal with the loss of Adrian Newey, because this is probably the time they really, really needed him. But and switching to Ford as well, another instance of just like change that presents unknowns. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do, even if it's on the hater side.
I'll be honest. I think Max's unexpected title charge papered over a lot, because even with Lauren Meckes there, they still Yuki Tsunoda is not on the grid next season because of Red Bull. If he was still at Racing Bulls, he'd be on the grid next season. So like, they ruined a young driver's career. Like with that second seat, like, obviously, yeah, it's about performance, but as Checo and Liam Lawson found out, and everybody else as well, that second seat is a problem, and it did cost Yuki Tsunoda his career. I also think when it comes to like his title charge, that required a disqualification, double disqualification from McLaren. So he wouldn't have been anywhere near if they would have gotten those points. Like obviously like near-ish, right? But it's not like he would have been like, it would have come down to the last race. He would have been out of it before then. So yeah, he got a little bit of a break there as well. So like however it happens, it happens. But I think also looking ahead, I am concerned about them and their what's going on with them for 2026. Because as you said, like Adrian Newey, not having him is a bit of a problem. Now, obviously, he's not the only guy that can design a car, but as far as we know, he's the best one. And especially when you're going into regs that are changing this much and you are having like active aerodynamics where you're going to have like the automatic settings for cornering in terms of the rear and the front wings and then straights and everything. Like the person that's able to maximize that the most and has the most experience succeeding in doing these sorts of things with the structure of the cars and design of the cars is Newey. He's gone. Honda is their, or Ford, Honda's gone as well. Now Ford is kind of their engine partner, and Ford is going to be new to F1. The technology may not be super new to them, but in terms of all the things that need to be done to make an F1 engine work the way it needs to work to win races is going to be new. And if they come out and stumble, Max is gone. And then what do they got, right? So I think the vibes are like Max is unexpected, and shout out to him for doing it. But his unexpected run really covers up a lot because we could be this time next season looking at Max Verstappen. I mean, it could even be in the summer break. As we know, these contracts sometimes can be torn up out of nowhere. Like Max Verstappen could be gone. He could be a Mercedes driver this time next year because who knows what Red Bull is going to come out with. And I think it's very, very, very important for them to nail it. And I don't know if they have the people in place to do that, especially losing so much at a critical time of ahead of a new regulation set. If they would have made all these changes before 2025 season, sure, great. All right, you set yourself up good, but they lost these guys late.
They also, with Max, like we noticed him during the season after he became dead, like during these breaks, he was doing something else, right? He wasn't just sitting there.
Yeah.
He was like doing other races. He's doing like the 24-hour races. They're doing other circuits. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year he's a WWE wrestler, right? Like that's where he's kind of the Sonny Hayes persona, or at least he's starting to adopt that kind of lifestyle of this bores me, or this doesn't interest me anymore. This is not where I want to be. This could be next year where he could be on any team. He could leave F1 entirely saying, oh, the challenge is done. I don't think that's going to happen, but at least he's planting the seed in everyone's mind that is a possibility that he is entertained. And so that should scare Red Bull because, as you mentioned, with him gone, they are done. They may have to get rid of Baby Bulls because they will not be able to keep going with two teams on the grid if they're both middling in 7th and 8th place.
Yeah. Also, quick note on Max and that, when he was chasing that title and they kept asking him like what it would mean or does he feel bad that he lost it or whatever. He's like, oh, when I'm like 100 years old or whatever, I won't think back and think, oh, what if I did? Shut up. Ain't nobody like that is not your perspective. We know who you are. We know you're a ruthless, competitive son of a bitch. We know that's how you are. You do not have this sort of perspective. You cannot lie to me. I hate it every single time he tried to make it seem like it doesn't matter. We know it matters. You just know you didn't have a great chance to get it. That's the only thing that changed. The only thing that changed.
If it ain't matter, why you pushing so hard then?
Right? I was just like, why you push it to the last race if it didn't matter? Just go out there and vibe. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. That kind of brought me back to be like, all right, Max, stop lying to us. All right, let's move on to Mercedes. Mercedes was number 2, crept up into that number 2 spot. They had George Russell, who had his best season in F1.
Who we did not forget.
We did not forget George, did not forget him. And they also had a rookie, Kimi Antonelli, who was the chosen one. He had a little bit of a rough time, but then he put it together, got himself on a podium as well. That was good and cool to see. Mercedes, vibe check. Donald, thoughts?
I mean, vibe's got to be high, right? They nailed it with and again, they could have gone in a much different direction if Kimi Antonelli wasn't ready for the challenge. They put a lot of faith in the kid, and the kid responded. Back then we mentioned that, he's may not be the best rookie, but he's in the best car, and that means it just has to be decent to get as much out of that car as possible. He's the youngest kid to get a podium. Like he did a lot of good in that car and helped it where it wasn't just George getting a bunch of points. It was both of them getting top threes, top fives every single week. It felt like they became over the course of the year the best team not named McLaren by a long stretch because they were so consistent. And so you have to really give them credit for that, and to do it after, kind of replacing Lewis Hamilton and trying to, show that they are as good a team as they are. They did just as good, if not better. And so that's a real testament to everybody at Mercedes just stepping up to the plate and really delivering and trying to get better. Even George had his best season as well. So yeah, Mercedes got to look at next year and say, if we can nail these regs, and I know we'll probably talk about some of the stuff we're hearing about their engine down the road, but vibes got to be up for them because they probably feel like they really, really can challenge for this thing.
Deepti, your thoughts on Mercedes?
I think this is going to be the start of George's villain era. And I think it actually started back when all the rumors about Max potentially taking his spot were there. And when tinfoil hat on, when Andre's theory of him tanking for a little bit until he re-signed, or until Max basically re-signed with Red Bull. I think that all was the start of this villain era. And I think he's going to come out strong and will want to prove himself again to Mercedes and show that, they should have never even considered signing someone else or getting rid of him or something. I'm really excited about Kimi. I think he had an up and down year, but obviously it was a rookie year. He's still super young. He's had all this pressure on him for being the chosen one. And so with one season under his belt, I think, now he'll have some more confidence in himself as well and see that he can actually compete with the top dogs, because he was doing on the days he did well, he did really well. He consistently got points. He got a couple podiums. And so I think, it's for him, it'll be really exciting. And then, yeah, I'm not the biggest George fan, and I don't think that's a surprise. So I'm just curious to see how he will take it and his personality. And yeah, I think we might have a new villain on the grid.
Yeah, I think you might be right on that one. Mercedes and regulation changes usually do pretty well. Mercedes engines usually pretty good, pretty reliable. So this is going to be interesting. Megan, your vibe check for Mercedes.
I feel good. I'm congrats, you did well. But I think they, the rumors we're hearing are that it's good. But I think they were still pretty frustrated how far they were behind overall. They have 469 points to 800 something points by McLaren. So while I think they can feel proud, I think you could tell in those final races that they were kind of what even is the point? Sure, we're going to try, but we're already out of the running. So what even is it now? And I'm curious to see with a reset kind of how they feel, because it was pretty apparent, 6 races in, particularly with Kimi not doing so hot at the beginning of the season or being really hot and cold, that McLaren was going to run away with it. Most likely. And so I think that was a little frustrating, but I was impressed to see George do so well. Kimi seems to have gotten it together at the end, and we'll see if he can nail transitioning to new engine regulations next year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really think it's so weird for Mercedes because their engines are good. It's just figuring out the chassis and understanding of their car. Because, they had that race in Canada where it's if y'all could repeat that at other tracks, you'd be a threat for the podium every single time out. But they never could. They never really could understand it. So I don't know if these regs are going to be easier to understand or not. But if they are, I think one of the most interesting / diabolical, and I'm kind of with you, Deepti, when it comes to George and his villain era, George in a race winning car frequently week to week is going to be hilarious. So like if that happens, I'm kind of here for it because he ended up pissing off Max so much that Max just rammed him in Spain. So like he can be annoying as hell in real life out of the car and also in the car. So this is going to be very, very interesting if Mercedes puts it together enough to be able to lead races and win races consistently, not just one off every now and then when they happen to have good conditions or the right conditions or whatever conditions they don't quite understand, but their car works. So fine, here you go, win a race. That's kind of where they were at. Okay, last one, as Megan mentioned, Mercedes had 469 points. McLaren ran away with the constructors title. Did not run away with the drivers, which might be part of the vibes. But McLaren had 833 points. They wrapped up the constructors with, I think, over 2 months to go in the season. It was kind of ridiculous how early they did it. And then, of course, the drivers goes down to the last day. So how they end up getting themselves in that mess, that might factor into the vibes as well. So, Megan, McLaren vibes.
Yeah. So for those of you who didn't see any of the clips from the FIA prize giving event, they do like a big dinner. The vibes already seem horrific. Zach Brown is up there making fun of Oscar in front of all of these people. He's kind of even being shitty to Lando, to be honest. But they both looked pretty uncomfortable. And then Lando gave his speech, and I think sincerely meant to Oscar some nice things, but the vibes seem a little irreparable, particularly with the way that it went at the very end, with them basically ignoring Oscar. And if I'm Oscar and I see somebody else nail the 2026 regulations, I go call Mark Webber and say, hey, how long was this deal for? What can I do? Because if the playing field's a little more even, you can escape your toxic workplace, friend. You don't have to stay there and have this fucking weirdo American be aggressive.
Yeah, the vibes got very strange with them. Like the whole papaya rules and run up throughout the season was weird. And then once they finally, like, Lando does win the constructor or the drivers championship, and you're just kind of like, okay, fine, they accomplished it. Now it's time to like reset, and then things just continue to get weird. Deepti, McLaren, where are you at?
Yeah, it is all a bit strange. And I think, how I said for Ferrari, like the only way is up. I think for McLaren, the only way is down. And like, even though it's been strange and weird all season, I think because they did end up like running away with constructors and then finally did get the drivers' championship, they have everything to lose. And everything includes Oscar. And like, if they don't, I guess, fix this whole papaya rule situation, or at least come clean with what it really means and just say, they have a number one driver and stuff, they're going to lose him after this season. And yeah, I obviously, like, I think they're going to be super competitive. I think they're obviously always going to still be in the running with both the drivers to like have both championships. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at, is just like, it'll be really tricky for them because now everyone is going to be coming after them, and like they've set like the standard, in constructors specifically, they've set like the standard for like having that many points and being that far ahead of Mercedes in second. And so yeah, it's strange, and they really do have everything to lose, so they have to just like watch their back kind of thing.
Yeah. Donald, your vibes for the season for McLaren and also looking ahead to 2026.
I think it depends on your McLaren point of view. If you're a Lando fan, vibes are the highest they will ever be, right? He's a driver's champion. They ran away with the constructors. If you're a fan of Oscar, you probably want to burn anything papaya to the ground. And if you're just a fan of McLaren, you want to take Zach Brown, drag him to Stonehenge, throw him into the rock ensemble, knock it down, and then blame everything on him. Because that is why
such a specific revenge. I love your imagination.
It's the closest
Donald.
thing to McLaren. So it's the closest landmark to McLaren that would get
A
the
ritual
international community
sacrifice.
up in arms. Yeah.
A ritual sacrifice. I love it.
I mean, if you knock over Stonehenge, like you're just already a villain. And I think also if we have to get the Zach Brown that we had at the end of the season, I don't want it. Put it back in a box, send it back to the store. We don't want that. That is going to make McLaren unbearable. And that will make the vibes way lower than any debate between who's the top driver. I also think entering next year, they need to have way more transparency. As Deepti mentioned, they need to say what this is, because if they don't, the chemistry is going to be gone. As I kind of said at the end of the season, like Oscar's going to go into that season going to next season going, yep, my turn. I done did all this stuff for you in the last couple of years. My turn. And Lando rightfully is going to be like, I mean, I'm the defending champion, so it should still be my turn. It should still be me who gets the deference. That's going to hit a boiling point very quickly. And when it does, if they don't hold it together, and Zach Brown's supposed to be the guy that holds together, if he's going to keep being this Zach Brown that we've seen, it will come tumbling down. It will come tumbling down very quickly. And every other team on the grid within striking distance is going to love watching it happen, and they might even encourage it. They might, poke the bear just a bit, just to get everybody riled up so they can pass them on by. And McLaren is a house of cards in that regard. So, yeah, it depends on who you're a fan of with McLaren, or if you're a fan of McLaren, but vibes are very all over the board. And the only people who really feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel is Lando. And also, really, these 2026 regulations could knock them back to earth too. We just don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, like I said, they're winning the constructors so early and letting the drivers come down to the last day was just like, for both drivers, has to feel like, okay, whatever y'all were trying to do, it didn't work, and we almost fumbled this thing. Like, that was really frustrating to watch. It was exciting in terms of week to week. Oh, we suddenly have a race now, but it was all because of McLaren's incompetence, really, that it ended up coming down to that, and that's got to change. I think I kind of agree with you, Donald. I do think that everything is going to come to come to a head soon, because were they just designers who had their car designers who had their heads around these 2022 to 2025 regulations, and they just knew how to maximize them, the shortcuts they could take, all those things? Was it that? Or are they just exceptional when it comes to any sort of regulation set? We'll find out. If they are, they're also getting a Mercedes engine, which again is rumored to be the best. And this power unit is going to be important because it's now 50-50 power split with the battery and internal combustion. And if they have the best engine, and again nail the aero side and the car design of everything, then they're gonna have another championship winning car. And then what happens? Because if they do, that will start the clock on Oscar refusing his first team order. It's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. Just depends on when and the scenario that they're in. If they have another great car, which I assume they will, and they have one of the best engines in that car, which I assume they will, it's going to happen. And I for one, cannot wait. I cannot wait. I want Oscar to be like, you know what? I remember Monza. I remember all these things that y'all were talking about in terms of papaya rules. Nope, these points might actually be more important come into the season. So I'm actually going to keep right where I'm at. If he can catch me and pass me, fine then. But if not, I'll see y'all at the garage. That's what I'm waiting for from Oscar. I really, really want to see it. Okay. Wow, this has been a long episode. I do want to do a quick break and then do our quick vibe check for the entire season, because I do think there are some fun things to talk about, or at least mention. We won't go deep into them. And then, of course, we need to end with Donald giving us, reminding us of our season predictions, because, oh God. Be right back. All right. Let's just open this up then, because I do think that like when it comes to a vibe check, this is an exciting thing for the entirety of the season. Like we're gonna wave goodbye to 2025. We're moving into 2026. There's gonna be so much to talk about. So much that we learned from 2025 probably won't carry over to 2026. So we might not talk about this season much at all. This will be a season Lando won his first. Beyond that, who knows what else we'll be discussing. So let's do one final send off for 2025. I'm going to go around like we've been doing and just give me like something that gave you good vibes from this season. Can be anything. So start with you, Deepti. What gave you good vibes this season?
I'm going to say stuff that happened off the grid. Good vibes from the get-go, F-175. That I think was a really cool thing that they did. They've already said that they're not going to do something similar this season, or maybe in the future. We don't know, once we get to 100 years, maybe. But yeah, I thought that whole concept was really cool, and it was really fun for us to like watch it together as well. And then I really liked, the vibe of like, I just like the social media and like the stuff off grid. We talked about Baby Bulls having really good stuff. Williams has put out a lot of great content as well. And so, yeah, I think the content, F1 content was always great. They just released like their Secret Santa, which they do every year. And that's always some good fun.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed in the Europeans for doing their maximum European thing. So we're not going to get like that F-175 event. They were just like, ooh, this is the worst thing that I've ever seen. It is so American. Shut up. It was fun. It was interesting. It was engaging. The teams were creative, had fun with it. Yeah, some things were awkward, but who cares? It was a great way to introduce your season, the drivers, the cars, everything at the beginning of the season. It was cool as shit. And because it got shit on by European audiences, it's gone. And I'm really disappointed about that, because I'm with you. I thought it was a really fun thing, especially because you had like there was the element of like making fun of the drivers as well too, like making fun of certain things. You had that like comedic element, like, yeah, we know this is silly, but it's also fun. It's exciting. It's a fun sport, and they just ruined it. So, whatever.
Can I also say one thing, because we didn't mention them in the team thing, but Cadillac vibes are already through the roof. A plus, 100%. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah,
you see Valtteri's Happy New Year message.
Yeah.
Okay, my guy. Cadillac, make the calendar happen. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Megan, good vibes from this season.
Christian Horner and Helmut Marko don't have jobs anymore, and for that, I will rejoice. I don't know that much more has to be said.
Amen.
I think short and sweet really captures.
Yeah,
the rancid vibes are gone.
Thought it was gonna take a while before we'd have F1, and maybe Horner will find his way back. Who knows? But right now, we don't have either of them. We finished the season; they're gone. It's a beautiful thing. Donald, your good vibes.
First of all, have me find out that Europeans were shitting on Tim's. I will fly to Europe and pull Nadell and set fire to their entire reign. It'll be just don't let me hear it. But for my good vibes, I think the best moment of the season was Hulk getting his first podium, because he's such a well-liked guy. He's been on the grid for a billion years, and he had the record for the longest number of starts without a podium. And to end that streak, to get the podium, and to be so excited that, Sauber had to run around borrowing champagne from people. And I joked on when we talked about it, that they should not have to do that. They should be ready for this. But I also think the good in that is that every team was like, nah, this is something worth celebrating. Take our champagne, rock with it. And they, return the favor, in future weeks. But it was a cool moment. And to see everybody genuinely happy for him was really cool to see. He earned it. He deserved it. And hopefully there's more under Audi.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Like Hadjar's story was good too, because he had that crash on the formation lap, and then he gets on a podium with Racing Bulls, and that's a really cool story. But just like the season after season after season after season grind from Hulkenberg, and it never happens, and then it does. I love the montage that was posted of drivers in their cars post race finding out that he got a podium. Every single driver was like, "Oh, Nico, he's on the podium. Oh, that's so awesome. Like they were so happy for him as well. Like it was really cool to hear that moment as well. So yeah, I think that was a really good vibes moment. Mine is Lego cars. I love anytime you get something to see these like very intense competitive people just become children, and the Lego cars made them absolute children. They were running into each other, screaming, even though they're going like 20 miles per hour. It was really cool. And then the little Lego glasses too, putting those on like that. That was fun. You know, give grown ass men toys and they'll become boys again. And that was really fun to see all these dudes just become their inner childs, just come out and then be very, very silly when it came to the Lego cars and everything Lego. And shout out to the Lego partnership. I think whoever made that call was really smart to get Lego involved with the F1. That's really, really smart. Okay, bad vibes. There's plenty to talk about when it comes to bad vibes, unfortunately. So we're also going to talk about things that gave us bad vibes. We could also say this could also be like ick of the season. We also might just do like bad vibes / ick of the season. So let's start with you, Donald. What are your bad vibes, or did you have an ick from this season?
It's papaya rules. I don't even need to explain it. Papaya rules were stupid. They should never be. I should never have to utter those words ever again, but we're going to have to because Zach Brown exists. That's it.
Yeah, I think in terms of like nominating something for ick of the season, it's absolutely going to be papaya rules. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, and in practice, they turned out to be even dumber. Meg, bad vibe, ick.
My ick is most of the team principals. So Zach Brown, Flavio, everyone involved with Ferrari. I just why? I mean, I love Fred. Like we all know, I'm a big Fred gal, but I guess I'm more saying the people above Fred who just made inane comments that it was like, Friends, you can privately think these things, but let's not tell an Italian reporter. Like, I understand that you want to sip some cappuccino together, but like, can we not? And so for that, I will say, men, just stop. Just please stop. Just stop.
Yeah, when it comes to Zach and Flavio, John Elkin, who was the shut up and drive guys, like everybody else is great. The drivers are struggling. No, your car's trash. What are you talking about? Yeah, that was bad. That was very bad vibes. Deepti, bad vibes and or ick.
Hello, is this the driver championship hotline? Ick is just the number of times we had to see his face and hear his voice throughout the season, and not even throughout the season, even in F1 the movie, I couldn't get away from him. It's just like, that was my biggest ick. Y'all know that. We've changed our group chat name for those of you who did listen to our previous episode. That is done as well. But yeah, besides that, maybe like worst vibes was just Ferrari, like Megs just said. But both of those, Ferrari and papaya rules.
Can I tell you something about Zach Brown that will like really cement that he sucks? We're going to talk about the final sport I don't think we've mentioned on the podcast so far. He's a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Baseball's best.
Oh yeah, I did know this. Like, he gotta go.
Of course he is. That just makes all the sense in the world.
He's not American
of
at all.
Of course he is.
Is he from St. Louis? No, he's not.
Of course
no,
not.
From LA.
No. Yep, absolutely. That's exactly how that works. Yeah. Yep. Well done, McLaren. Well done. Yeah. I don't know. I think I gotta agree with Donald. I was gonna try and think of something else, but it's papaya rules. I mean, that whole thing just was really frustrating. I mean, Ferrari sucked as well, like that whole, the off season leading into the season, all that stuff. But like that, they had a real chance to have a really cool, like, do something different with their two drivers in the best car on the grid. You got a young driver who's figuring it out. Lando is also like entering its prime as a driver. Like, it's a really cool battle, and they just tried to micromanage it, and it ended up like it to me, it took some of the shine off of Lando's win. honestly. And I think if without it and Lando won, I'd have been like, wow, respect to Lando. And now I'm just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'm happy he won. I wanted it to be somebody other than Max, given how the recent seasons have gone. But it's also kind of like, yeah, well, you can point to certain times. Had this not happened, would you be standing here? Would Max be standing here with the championship again? Would Oscar? It's just too many things that went into it that kind of deflated that moment and the entirety of the season with something that could have been interesting. And I get the fear from them, like our two drivers battling and crashing out every other race is really not going to be helpful to us. It's going to be very expensive, and we're going to look like idiots given how much work we put in to make this car great. But they chose a wild, wild, wild and ridiculous way to kind of cope with all of that. And it was very frustrating to watch race after race and hear all the weird decisions. Y'all remember when they said we got our flexibility for the mandatory pit stops? And it was like, no, y'all just screwed both drivers because you didn't want to give one driver who was ahead, which was Oscar at that time, an advantage. So stupid. All right, that's it. Funniest moments, real quick. Deepti, funniest moment.
Oh God. No, come back to me. I didn't have one.
Okay.
Top of my head.
I got it. Okay,
moment.
I have both an on the grid one and then one specifically related to the podcast.
Perfect.
On the grid, I think the sassy radios were incredible this season, and my personal favorite was Lewis asking if they wanted to have a tea break because nothing more British than tea.
Yep.
Off the track, I have a funny anecdote to tell. I got a text 2 weeks ago out of nowhere from a close friend of mine who lives in Kansas City and sees me probably once a week, and follows me on all social media and says, do you have an F1 podcast with Donald? Followed by like 15 question marks, because she saw Donald in person in DC, and Donald was like, oh yeah, I see Meghan like every week. And that human has clearly not seen my Instagram or my Blue Sky or anything, and just out of nowhere was very offended that she didn't know I had an F1 podcast with Donald and a host of other characters.
Well, if you're listening, friend, hello. Welcome to our
Hi,
F1
Julie. But
Love
it
you,
was
Jules.
very, very funny because Julie's partner apparently turned to her and was like, yes.
Hilarious. Amazing. Glad to have you as a listener now. Donald, your funniest thing.
It's the tea break. Lewis's comment, but also this was like, no, I'm not going to even do the sad one. The stuff where he's talking to nobody wasn't funny to me. It was like, yo, Ferrari, you speak to that man. That's a sir you're speaking to. But do you want to have a tea break? And them just kind of like not knowing how to respond to his sassy reply. That was probably the funniest part of the season.
All right, Deepti, got one?
Yes, I do have one. I have a couple. One on grid and one off grid. On grid, we had a lot of hilarious radio calls, which we need to like put together for new intros for this season. But one of them that was, I think, more towards the end of the season was when Ollie Behrman, he just goes on radio and he's like, the car, it's so good. Like, how is this so good? And he's just like shocked. He had a couple good ones. Obviously, like the chow is great. But yeah, that one when he's just like surprised that the car was doing well.
I forgot about that one. That one was hilarious.
And then also going back to F175 when Christian Horner got booed like crazy. Hilarious. Loved that.
Oh, you remember on all the like all the like buttoned up F1 shows, like they were like, oh, I don't think booing's necessary. Oh, shut up. He's a grown ass man. He can handle boos. They always want to clutch their pearls about stuff. I don't understand. So stupid. Was that it? Did you have any more, Deepti?
No, that was it.
Okay. I think a lot of mine, y'all mentioned ones that I would put up there, but I have to say Must Be the Water from Charles's engineer. That was an early entry, and I think we have to make sure it's recognized because it was raining and Charles was just like, oh, my seat is wet. Like, what's going on? I feel water or something. And his engineer says, must be the water. And then Charles said, like, add that to the book of words of wisdom or whatever. And it was just very, very funny that his response was so deadpan that, hey, you're freaking out, but I guess that's the water, my guy. Don't know what else to tell you. Everything looks fine here. So yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. Okay, Donald, quickly, let's go through our season predictions. We did a whole season preview at the beginning of 2025. We were very excited about one particular team and everything that was going on there. So you'll see how the vibes deteriorated. But let people know our season predictions so that we can feel immense shame before we end the podcast.
Yeah. So, well, someone on this show is not going to feel a lot of shame because that person was actually pretty accurate in certain areas. But let's start with the driver's champion. Deepti, you and I both were very Delulu, and we said Lewis Hamilton. Meg and Kyle and Ebony all went with Charles. And André is the lone person to have correctly predicted that Lando Norris would win the driver's championship. So congratulations, André. You win the prize of being right.
I take back everything I said about papaya rules.
At what cost?
Constructors champions. André, you and Deepti both correctly predicted McLaren. Delulu Island of Ferrari was Meg, Kyle, Ebony, and myself. So there's
Kyle was on Ferrari as well. That's Mercedes guy. Wow.
Everyone was on Ferrari.
He was a day one Delulu Islander. Respect. Kyle.
We were all in. We were all in as a pod. We did predict fourth place as well. And fourth place, we had Deepti had Red Bull. Meg had Mercedes. Kyle had Red Bull. Myself and André also had Mercedes. And Ebony, very famously, picked Alpine. None of us were right. It was Ferrari, which leads us to the thing. Ferrari, why? Wow. And then finally, we had Rookie of the Year. And I'm not sure how to really judge this, but I guess we can maybe determine it. But Rookie of the Year, Deepti, both you and Meg picked Ollie Behrman, which I thought was a very solid choice. Kyle and myself picked Kimi Antonelli, which, again, he did very, very well. André went with Gabriel Bortoleto, and I thought he had a solid season. Ebony had a stand-on business answer of Jack Doohan. But she said probably Kimi Antonelli.
I loved her for committing.
Yeah,
she did commit. Alpine let her down in the worst ways reviewing these because my God.
Wow.
Wow.
None of us picked.
So yeah, those are our predictions.
Hajar was could be considered if there was a Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we weren't already over an hour and a half with this, we could have a little debate about who might be the Rookie of the Year. But yeah, I think Hajar has a really strong case. Got on the podium, was very consistent all season, beat his teammate a lot. I mean, his teammate wasn't like George Russell, right? Like Kimi had to deal with, but still, he had two different teammates. One was Yuki. So yeah, interesting.
I think I would go with Kimi only because I believe Kimi had more points.
He was also
and
in a
again
Mercedes, so you know.
Yeah, he was in a Mercedes. I think it's weird. I think in a grid where again they had the most rookies in a generation, they all, I mean, short of Jack Doohan, like they all did quite well for themselves.
Yeah,
and so
short of Jack Doohan did we exclude Liam Lawson? Did we say?
Oh no, I guess Liam didn't do well.
Okay, so Liam,
they can't all be winners.
Yeah,
so.
Lawson and Doohan were the two that were like no thanks. But I think you could make a strong case for any others. I mean, I think Bortoleto ended up out qualifying Hulkenberg, I believe.
Yeah,
which was cool to see. I think Ollie also was a really good challenge to Ocon. Hajar, as we already talked about, I think Kimi had his moments, got on the podium, looked like one of those really good drivers. Had a couple really awesome overtakes too throughout the season that are memorable. So yeah, I think every single one has some strong case that you could argue for them. Anyway,
and rookie Fernando Alonso did do as well as we thought either.
Indeed. Forgot about him as a rookie. Anyway. All right. This was it for 2025. We will be back to talk about 2026 and everything. We will have livery reveals scheduled. There's a lot of things including F1 changing up terminology because they realized that mom mode and X and Y and Z mode or whatever was always going to be a little bit weird and sound stupid. So they changed some terminology on us. So we'll have an episode where we review all of that stuff and kind of look at 2026 and kind of where we stand, and maybe do the same thing. We'll kind of look at where other teams are, every team is, and try to figure out what's going on with them. There's so many rumors out there right now, and who knows who has accurate information, but testing is on the way as well. So we'll cover it all in the future. So for Deepti and Meg, and also Donald, I'm André. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.